TLC's reality series 90 Day Fiancé has featured more than a few wholesome and loving couples, but they tend to fall by the wayside in favor of the show's more explosive pairings. From Nicole and Azan, who could never seem to get on the same wavelength, to the interminably awkward Paul and Karine, the series has hosted some of the most outrageous pairings imaginable. That said, none come close to the chaos of Jorge and Anfisa. Jorge came across as a shallow man only interested in Anfisa because of her looks, and Anfisa was incredibly dramatic and made it very well known that she was only interested in dating Jorge so she could earn US citizenship and score some cash. Relatively early on in their 90-day fiancé stint, Jorge and Anfisa got in an argument when the former wouldn't buy the latter an expensive purse. In retaliation, Anfisa accessed Jorge's Apple ID account and erased his phone remotely. At the time, Jorge tried to laugh it off, but he was clearly agitated. Why he deemed it necessary to grant Anfisa access to his passwords and accounts is unknown, but he likely learned his lesson about what should and should not be kept private. Anfisa was abundantly clear that she initially wanted to be with Jorge because he was willing to buy her expensive things. When he eventually came clean about his less than stellar financial situation, the two agreed to enter into a post-nuptial agreement so that Anfisa wouldn't have to run the risk of incurring her husband's debts. Related, 10 smartest 90-day fiancé wives. Ranked by intelligence, the two argued excessively during the meeting, and, at one point, Jorge fairly bluntly asserted that he believed his wife to be immature. In response, she smacked him, which definitely wasn't a good look given the serious tone of the conversation in which they were engaged. Jorge shouldn't escape blame for the way his relationship with Anfisa turned out, but Anfisa took things much too far in some instances. Jorge was repeatedly kicked out of his own apartment and forced to sleep in a parking garage, and, at one point, he discovered that his fiancée has keyed the word idiot into the driver's side door of his SUV. When asked about it during a tell-all segment, Anfisa bluntly stated that she had her reasons for doing what she did and didn't elaborate much further. It was a particularly rough moment in an already rough relationship. Jorge seemed to think very highly of his sister and clearly valued her opinions, but Anfisa threw a wrench in the works. Jorge's sister did not get along with Anfisa, and things broke down pretty quickly between Jorge's fiancé and his family. Related, 10 90-Day Fiancé cast members' YouTube channels you need to watch. In a tell-all segment, Anfisa expressed her feelings over being forced to meet Jorge's sibling for the first time with cameras rolling, telling Jorge that he was stupid for not picking up on the problem. She then went on to call Jorge's family member a BTCH several times regardless of how evidently uncomfortable it made her significant other. Anfisa established a penchant for throwing Jorge out of his own apartment whenever she was irritated with him, and when he felt that enough was enough, he called her and tried to sort things out. Anfisa wasn't interested in explaining her actions, only stating that she threw Jorge out because he pissed me off. She then threatened to throw all of his belongings out the window while he was still stuck outside, and, given her reputation, it certainly didn't come across as a hollow threat, though she didn't go through with it. When he was first introduced, Jorge explained that he wanted a traditional relationship with a wife who was comfortable with him being the breadwinner. Anfisa was the complete opposite of that, but Jorge was nonetheless desperate to make their relationship work out. After Anfisa threatened to throw all of his belongings through the window, Jorge called her back and asked for an apology. Anfisa nonchalantly asked what she was supposed to apologize for, and her fiancé was left totally defeated. It was the aftermath of one of Anfisa's most memorable tantrums, but Jorge shouldn't have expected Anfisa to change her attitude. Quite some time after Anfisa arrived in America, the two met in the parking garage, and Jorge explained that, rather than being as wealthy as he claimed to be, he was actually in some debt. Anfisa was arguably in the right here, as a bombshell like this would upset even the most level-headed of spouses. Related, 10 hilarious 90-Day Fiancé episodes fans love to watch over and over. That said, Anfisa didn't take the news well whatsoever, becoming enraged and repeatedly calling Jorge a liar. Given that their relationship was built on lies from both sides, this sounded to some viewers like the pot calling the kettle black. It was evident from the very beginning that Jorge and Anfisa's relationship wasn't meant to be. The two argued constantly, couldn't agree on anything, and didn't seem to have any kind of genuine connection. Jorge overlooked some obvious signals that Anfisa was going to leave him, the most obvious being her literally telling him that she was going to split once she got her green card. En route to a meeting at which they were supposed to prove that their love was real, Anfisa lost her temper when they missed an exit and point-blank told Jorge she was going to leave him. Why Jorge continued with the relationship after that is anyone's guess. At one point, Jorge absconded to have a meeting with his lawyer, and, upon discovering that he'd secretly left, Anfisa flew into a rage. She called him and screamed at the top of her lungs, creating one of the most dramatic moments between the notoriously troubled two. Oddly enough, Jorge looked pretty zoned out throughout the entire affair. Perhaps he'd known Anfisa long enough to be used to this kind of thing, or perhaps he was already resigned to the fact that he'd be spending another night sleeping in the car. When he returned to his apartment, she promptly threw him out. Ahead of a meeting that would determine Anfisa's future in the US, the two were dysfunctional. Before they even left the parking garage, Jorge stepped out of the car to retrieve his wallet, and Anfisa shouted, "Bring me my red bag," with my makeup, with a rage that seemed totally unwarranted. After that, Jorge asked for the apartment keys, and she threw them at his feet. Given how important the day's meeting was, one would think Anfisa would have made an effort to get along with Jorge, but that wasn't the case.
Baby